All right, so continuing on with our deviants and the people that don't necessarily conform to the norms of a society, we're going to look at kind of the symbolic interactionalism view of deviance. Now, previously, when it came to the functionalists, it was, again, what is the overall goal of a society? Remember, the functionalist view is to maintain a stable society as much as it can. So anything that kind of deviates from the norm, a society is going to pretty much have to make a judgment. Is this deviance harmful or is it beneficial? If the deviance is harmful to the society is going to try to kind of do away with it. If it's beneficial, the society will try to embrace it or adapt it. And this is not a conscious thing within a society. Not everybody sits around and goes, do we embrace this new invention or do we not embrace this new invention? Now, you see other things. And with this particular take that we're going to look at today, what it does is it looks a little bit at kind of the psychology of deviance. Okay? Because when things are different, doesn't matter what it is, new food, new idea, new way of living, we have a natural aversion to go to what is common, what is familiar. And a lot of the reason for that is because of the labels that we put on things. And again, we don't like a lot of change as people anyway, because that with change comes uncertainty. And a lot of, whether you're following along really with what I'm saying right now, if you're really paying attention to the words, is what I really mean to say, is it's because of all the different, how you interact with the symbols of, again, remember, the word symbol, or the word danger is in itself a symbol. And you can have a definition for danger, I can have a definition for danger, and we can interact with those symbols differently. You may think a gun is dangerous. Going to the gun range and shooting, going pew pew at a piece of paper may seem dangerous to you. To me, it's not dangerous. Me personally, I'm terrified of bees. Bees are dangerous. I don't like being stung. It hurts. But again, for one person, that symbol for the word danger may engender, dogs, evil shaved cats, guns, bees, but it's all how we interact with the symbol. So that is, again, a little bit of a rehash of symbolic interactionalism and how it's different from functionalism, but know that this is what we're going to look at when it comes to deviance. So kind of keep that in mind. So there's kind of two big theories that kind of go with the symbolic interactionalist school of sociology. And the first one is the differential association theory. And with this, the main question is that it tries to answer is, how is deviance learned? Okay? How is the way somebody acts that deviates from the norm, how is it learned? And pretty much this is what it says, is transmitted through socialization in the same way conformity is learned. So think back to those agents of socialization. While those 5 things, home, family, religion, school, the mass media, while those things are transmitting how to conform, in a way they also transmit what it means to be deviant, in a way. So like, for example, when you're watching a movie about a superhero, like a Marvel movie, you go and you watch Avengers Infinity War. What is the deviant behavior in the movie? Trying to get some jewelry so you can snap your fingers and wipe off half of all life in the universe. That is an extreme deviant behavior. Mass murder is deviant. I know, it's weird. Um, so again, how is that deviance learned? Well, it's transmitted in these ways. When you learn, less extreme, but when you're learning, how to play nice with others, when you're 2 years old, you learn to share. You learn to share the cars. Sharing is caring. Sharing is nice. Taking the toy truck and smashing the other kid over the head over it, that is deviant behavior. That is not nice behavior. You are punished for that behavior. So, again, that is how that deviance is taught and learned by people. Differential association is also emphasizes the role of primary groups in transmitting deviance, either by telling the child what's right and the child is acting against it, or even, like for example, when they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And again, just as people learn preferences in religion, politics, from those who they associate with closely, what they can learn deviance by association as well. So, like for example, true story. This was before I came to Taylor, maybe 10 years ago, give or take, when I was at the other place. And then maybe I told this story, maybe I don't remember. But I had a student that actually, he had a pair of scissors, and he cut the hair of another student. He had a pair of scissors, he cut the hair of a girl. And so what is the deviant behavior? Cutting the hair of the other student. So I wrote up said student for cutting somebody's hair. And the whole time he was like, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. Well, I, called mom, left a message, and turned in the write-up. And a couple days later, mom gave me a phone call. Actually, she didn't even call me. She called my principal, demanding that, well, mom was demanding a meeting with me and my principal. And I met the mom. And for about 5 minutes, I didn't even really say much. I just said, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. And mom went on a long tirade about how I had no evidence that her sweet little baby angel cut this other girl's hair, because I didn't have a photo or I didn't record it or anything like that. And technically I didn't even see it because I was outside in the hallway, because it was actually during passing period was when this happened. So, and at that school, teachers had to stand out in the hallway. So even though, he had the scissors in his hand and in one hand and the hair in the other, little angel boy didn't do it. That is just an example. Deviant behavior, do something bad and not take responsibility for your own actions, which is a deviant behavior, in essence was transmitted by the mom. Real world example. So there's three main characteristics that affect differential association. First is the ratio of deviant to non-deviant individuals that a person who knows so pretty much the idea is this. A person that somebody knows who acts deviantly and they know more deviance than non-deviance, they will likely learn that behavior. So, for example, just a small example, people that watch anime. As somebody who does watch anime, watching anime is not a normal thing, at least as far as the population of the United States goes. It's not. I'm not saying normal isn't a bad thing. It's just not a norm of society. A lot of people, by the time you're 30 years old, it's, the expectations is you should be watching cartoons at that point. And when a lot of people look at anime, they look at cartoons. They don't see, a giant war drama involving the psychological scarring of being in a war involving giant robots. But again, a lot of people, they look at it, they see the cartoon, they go, oh, that's for children. But again, if you're somebody who's around a lot of anime watchers, you'll pick up that kind of behavior. You may find something that's like, oh, that's a little interesting. I might like that kind of show. I might like the rom-com involving, high school hijinks of, of people that can't associate well with their fellow classmates. Also, the significance of a person acting deviantly. A person is more likely to copy deviant behavior from someone significant to them. Again, if somebody you really like, your best friend, your mom, your dad, older brother, older sister, and they have this little quirk about them, you may pick it up yourself. Or someone may want to pick it up themselves because, hey, that's neat. I want to be just like them. Or even, also, with, this is a bit of psychology. In the end, that's what's modeled for you, especially when you're little. This is why, children whose parents are abusive will often go back and repeat those same behaviors. And again, it's not because they mean to, but it's because that's what they know. And also the age of exposure. Younger children learn deviant behavior more quickly than older ones because, again, the older you get, the more experiences you have. The more you can look at something and go, that's not my cup of tea, or, that's just not right. When you're small, when you're little, you don't know that. So yeah, a norm for you can be to come home and get the crap kicked out of you by someone, and you just think that's normal. I could tell you all sorts of stories of my teaching career where, yeah. Well, for example, I'll give you one that's rated PG. This was a long time ago. This is when I first started teaching. I had a student, and yeah, he was locked up for beating the crap out of his mom. And he later went to this was when I was teaching in the jail, and then he went to my facility where he assaulted my principal. Like, sucker punched her so hard that his knuckle cut her face. Ouch. And, oh, did I mention he was in 4th grade? Yeah, he was in 4th grade. He had seen his dad pretty much beat the crap out of his mom, and that was what he knew. That's what he learned. That kind of deviant behavior. It's okay to beat women. And in fairness, when he did punch my principal, it was a good right hook. Like, the form, it was nice. But again, the deviant behavior behind it. And again, I point out the fact that it was a good right hook because it was a good right hook. And this is a little 4th grader who could throw a right hook as good as a professional boxer. And he picked it up so quickly because he was so young. Little kids, they learn a lot of stuff really quickly. The other side of this is the labeling theory. And labeling pretty much explains why deviance is a relative thing. Not only in a society or social group, but to us as an individual. Because, like, for example, like when you see the world of politics, whether you're an elephant man or a donkey person, what's funny is all politicians lie. But for some reason, the other team, for some reason, their lies are worse. So again, if you're an elephant person, yeah, your elephant people lie, but the donkey people, they're Satan when they lie, and vice versa. So, or better yet, a little bit closer to home, the Astros. You know what happened to the Astros? They got, drugged through the media and everything else about how, Astros evil because they cheated, even though every team in baseball does it. The Astros just got caught. But Astros bad. And you probably saw it all over the news, especially the national news, if you were paying attention to that, or if you're somebody who's big into baseball, you noticed it. Like the Astros were, evil, Satan, and all those other things. But again, this is why you have a label. You put labels on something. Again, you have, like, for our perspective, yeah, Astros do something bad. It's not so bad. Yankees do something. Oh, they're Yankees. They're evil. They're, oh, how dare they? Um, or my favorite, everybody loves to beat up on the Cowboys. Those types of things. So again, even though everybody literally does the same thing, if it's the other side, that's worse. That's because you have a label on them. And explains why we might label or identify one person engaging in a certain behavior as deviant, but not label another person engaging in the exact same behavior, because that's what it is. There was there was one story, news thing. This was a couple years ago. It was about the kid that pretty much got into a car accident, killed a bunch of people, or killed a few people, and the kid pretty much got off for it. Because he had money, and a lot of people were butthurt about it. Like they were mad about it. And however, a lot of other people that happens to as well. Like they do something bad and they get off on a stupid technicality, and it's all right. We don't really care. Often because we don't really hear about it as much. And that kind of goes into the mass media side of it. Or like for another example, our um, and and again, this is the idea of we can see the example in a minute. This explains kind of the labeling theory and why things are relative. Because, for example, you guys know this story where, you know, you maybe have seen them in school or something. Boy, girl, they fall, they engage in extracurricular activities and the girl becomes pregnant. And everybody looks at the girl and goes, "What happened?" But not a lot of people look at the boy and go, "What happened?" Even though it does, take two to tango. But again, people look at the female differently than the male student. Or this is something that's relatively new in the news. What happened between Johnny Depp and his wife Amber Heard? Um, because again, in the allegations, um, well, Amber Heard may face 3 years of jail, and it was because she, abused Johnny Depp. She apparently, like, I don't know if she bit it off or cut it off, but apparently, like, there's a chunk of Johnny Depp's finger missing now because of what Amber Heard did, and she just, physically abused him and psychologically abused him, and there's actually audio recording that Depp was doing during one of his beatings, and she said that, yeah, nobody's going to believe you if you go to the cops about this because you're a guy. Whereas I can go with a small little bruise and everybody will go Johnny Depp bad. I'm paraphrasing. I heard the audio recording once, like years ago. And I don't know if it was last night. But you also have what are called primary and secondary deviances. And in cases of primary deviances, a person engages only in isolated acts of deviance. And really what this means is these are small little acts that they do in secret that nobody knows anything about. Or if somebody knows something about, it's something they kind of try to hide from the rest of society because in essence they don't want society to judge them. There's that. And then for the secondary acts of deviance, these are pretty much secondary deviance means it's deviance in a lifestyle and as part of one's personal identity. So they take their deviance and go, "This is who I am," or a part of who I am. And individuals identify themselves as deviants. They organize with other people who have, the same deviant thing, and other people also label them as deviant, people on the outsiders, and respond to them accordingly. And when this occurs, these individuals usually begin to spend most of their time committing the acts of deviance, and the deviance becomes a way of life or a career or something like that. So, for example, just to make it sound less weird, because the word deviance, again, throws things off a little bit. Gamers. I remember when I was in high school and in middle school, um, a century ago. I'm only 37. Um, if you played video games when you were my age in middle school and in high school, people looked at you a little weird. That was a deviant act from the kind of larger um, society. Another thing, again, when I was in middle school, you really didn't advertise that you watched anime. So again, that was kind of a primary deviance thing. Because again, if it got out, you watched anime, people would make fun of you. Oh, you watch those crazy Japanese cartoons or something like that. So again, it can be, it doesn't necessarily have to be horrible. Now, it can be, take the other example, primary deviance, somebody likes to torture, cats or something. Yeah, primary deviance, not a good one. Secondary deviance, people that, they make YouTube videos about, shooting cats out of catapults or something like that, which is just gross. But so again, it can be whatever the norms of that society are. Um, and that's so again, it can be a small thing, it can be a big thing, it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. Because again, computers, the internet, a lot of people that were early people on the internet, that was kind of deviant. It was this weird, magical, mystical thing, you know, that was crazy. Now it's, accepted. Once upon a time, you guys probably never thought that you would be going to school on a computer, but some people were. Deviance changes things. And after this video, after the lecture, there's a little link. It's from a stand-up comedian. And what he does in his thing is he kind of explains in his own, he doesn't really use the word deviance and stuff, but what he does is he does give a good breakdown of, you know, primary deviant, secondary deviant. And from deviance, you have what are called stigmas. And stigmas are labels that are put on deviants that can cause that deviant pain and suffering, and it can determine the direction of their lives. And a stigma is just an undesirable label put on others to deny the deviant full social acceptance. Um, it can be formal, it can be informal. It can be, again, informal. Ew, you're a nerd. Ew, you're this. Ew, you're that. It can be formal, like, making a sex offender register on, go on a registry. And it can be used to, in extreme cases, it can be used to discredit the individual's entire worth. That's if you take it to an extreme. Um, but again, this is kind of going back to the functionalist side for a little bit. Think about it. Because even all the philosophies, they kind of, they do spill into each other. But think about it. Would you want your children to be babysat by a convicted rapist? And again, I put that out there because yeah, we do have these stigmas. There are, we make these sorts of decisions. But then these are things that for you and me and society at large to think about from time to time because we do have these labels for things. We use words to describe things and we create stigmas because of the words that we use. So that's really the question. You know, where can this be useful? Where can it not be useful for society from a functionalist perspective? But at the same time, how can those stigmas and those thoughts and those ideas influence how we view other people within our society? And again, because again, words are symbols and words have meaning and words shape the way that we think about things and we view things and we understand things. And so again, this is kind of where I'll leave off. But yeah, after this is the short little video from the comedian. And then after that's a kind of a writing assignment. It's got a little quote about a guy who wrote about this. And I just kind of want you to think about it. And there's the quote, there's a little writing prompt. Just, type up your thoughts and post it. And that's about it for this. Deuces.